In this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 big picture Instagram Reels ideas that you can use to grow your small business or your online brand. No dancing or pointing required, I promise. So these ideas are really going to give you, they're almost like evergreen ideas, right? They're things you can think about when you are deciding to approach Instagram Reels and how you create them and the ideas you come up with them. These are 5 main things that I think you should keep in mind, and to get like specific ideas flowing under these umbrellas of big picture ideas. So we're going to talk about these ideas today. I'm super excited, and let's go ahead and jump into the first one. So the first one is to jump on a trend. Now, like I said, this does not mean you have to dance or point. There are literally so many different types of trends where it doesn't require you to be pointing at the screen or to be dancing or anything like that. And actually, I have a free download that is 10 specific Reels ideas where it gives you the audio for like a trend that is happening in Reels, and then some examples of how you can put your own spin on it for your brand. So if you want that link, it'll be right down below and you can grab it completely for free. And it just gives you a good starting base to jump on different types of trends and like what are some different trends specifically that you could do. So when it comes to trends, I think what can make trends really impactful if you're growing specifically a business, right, is one, putting your own spin on it. Make sure it makes sense for your industry, or that maybe your ideal client would find it interesting, your ideal client would find it funny or relatable or something along those lines. So putting your own spin on it for how it makes sense for your business and your brand and your industry is really, really important. The second reason why trends are important, or why they can be really impactful, is I think that's just how Reels is really working well right now. At least for me personally, a lot of my like original content that I'm creating for Reels isn't as impactful and isn't getting as many views, engagement, isn't growing my following as quickly as jumping on trends and putting my own spin on it in a way that someone might find it relatable or funny as it relates to what I do or what I offer. A couple examples of a trend that's been happening, how I put my own spin on it. And again, these aren't dancing or pointing. These are either me lip syncing or just using the audio from a trend so that it makes sense, or doing something. So the first example I wanted to give you is this one right here, and it's a trend. We'll put the links also to all of the exact like reel examples I give down below if you want to click on them and check them out. But this reel is basically the idea of, okay, you want to take a day off from your business. Here you go. Like, here's how you could do that. And like, here's why it's important. And I was putting a trend on that sound where people basically like they're doing something and then they look at the camera and then they're gone. As to, you know, make a point that you like, if you say like, hey, want to go do something? You're like, I'm there, let's do it. Or maybe someone asks you a question that is like not a normal thing that you do, and you're like, gone, I'm doing it. And so I put my own spin on that by me working at my desk, and then I had me look around, and then I was gone, as to say, like, you know, when I want to take a day off for my business, the way I'm setting up my business is I can have the flexibility to do that most days. And I explain more in the caption on exactly how I'm doing that and why that's important. And I think it really helped to educate my audience on why that could be very, very important. So again, this trend, like you're not lip syncing even, you're not dancing, you're not pointing, like, and it was super impactful, ended up gaining a lot of traction for me. The second example under this idea of jumping on a trend that I want to give is I did a lip syncing trend where I had like this noise, and I'll put the reel right here in the links below, but where I'm like shifting my eyes back and forth, giving like a confused look, and then I go, that's weird, like lip syncing to the noise. And it's just like a funny audio, but essentially, I was giving the example of when you have a reel where you take like 5 hours to work on it and then it barely gets any views, and then you do a reel that takes you 2 minutes and it gives you a ton of views. And that's just what I've seen. And it kind of goes along with the whole like jumping on a trend aspect. But yeah, so that was something that really hit with my audience and did really, really well when it came to my likes, views, comments, engagement, all of those things. So that was super exciting to see, and it didn't take me very long to make. It was just thinking about how could I put my own spin on the fact, you know, or relate to the people who want to make reels and maybe are feeling frustrated by it. And that's something that I teach a lot here on like my YouTube channel and for Instagram and my business in general. So that was just something I created the reel first, and I was like, what text can I add to make this funny or make this relatable? And that's what I came up with, and it ended up hitting really, really well and doing really well on my account. Idea number 2 is to give a quick hack. Instagram Reels really isn't the place to share everything you know about everything you know. Instagram Reels generally is going to work better if you are sharing quick wins, quick hacks, quick tips, whether that's 1, 2, or 3 in a reel. But really what I have seen the most impactful ones have been where I am giving one tip or one hack that can help somebody, right? So just think about what you do and what's one tip you can give for traveling? What's one tip you can give for planning a wedding? What's one tip you can give for being an artist? Like what is it that you do and you offer where, you know, if you're giving a tip for something, that it could help your ideal client. And when I say educate, like giving a tip or something like that, it doesn't mean you have to be an educator. Like I am a business educator, and this naturally you would think, oh, well, that makes sense for you, but not for me. But I want you to think about this in terms of your specific ideal audience and the people you are trying to reach. What are the things that you have to offer? What makes, you know, what you have to offer valuable? What are some tips you can give before they decide to work with you that would attract them to your account and potentially bring you in new customers? So think about that and how you can give quick tips on something that relates to what you do. And practically how you can implement giving a quick tip, you could either just talk straight to the camera, kind of like I am right now, but like with your phone. You could literally talk to the camera and give a quick tip. I would just make sure if you're doing that, make sure it's very fast. You could even talk in like 1-sentence spurts to make sure there's not any like gaps in your talking. That's really important when it comes to Reels. You could also give a quick tip by jumping on a trend, and then the text you show on the screen, however it makes sense for that trend, is giving the tip within that reel. Kind of like I did when I showed that example for how to take a day off in your business, right? So think about that and how you can incorporate that into the reels that you're creating. Giving people value and educating them really does well, especially if you are trying to attract a very specific audience, which honestly you should be if you're a business, right? Even if you consider yourself like a content creator, influencer, you're still a business. So knowing who those people are and having that in your mind is very important when it comes to creating your reels. The third reel idea is to show a transformation. Reels and just people who watch reels love to see like before and afters and transformations and DIYs and how things went from this to this. Like even think about the concept of shows like Fixer Upper, right? People don't watch that show to see the final product. They watch that show because they want to see the process of how it's made. And if we take that same concept and apply it to reels, we can really think about, how in a 15-second or 30-second video can we show very quickly the process of how something is done or how you took, did a transformation or DIY. Obviously, if you're like a DIY account, if you're an artist, anything like that, this applies so well to you because you can literally do so many different things with this, showing like a before and after. Even if you're not someone in that category, I think you could still do a lot of different things, especially, maybe you want to share like a personal DIY project you're working on and why you wanted to work on that. Or maybe you have something else in your business. Maybe you have something that you're creating within your business, a new offering, a new product. Take people along that journey of how you created it. You can even think about this in the terms of, what do your clients experience when they work with you? What sort of transformations do they experience when they decide to work with you? If you're a service-based business, I think this can be really impactful. Maybe sharing, what are the top 3 things someone gains when working from you that is bigger than just the features of your product. Like, how does it make them feel? What kind of transformation do they get after working with your service? So just a couple of practical examples right here is a reel that I made where I shared my DIY desk project, and it made a lot of sense. Even though I'm not a DIY account by any means, it made a lot of sense for my audience just because I am more of a business related account, and making your own desk for your home office definitely falls into that category. So I filmed a lot of us creating the desk and the whole process of that, which was super fun. And it was fun to put that into a reel and take them along the process. Another really good example is I actually sell mobile presets in my shop, and which we'll link those down below if you're interested in checking them out. But here's a reel that I made where I did like before and after edits of a reel, and I actually jumped on a trend to do this. We'll put a link down to that reel below as well. But basically I took this trend and I was seeing, people sharing like, here's a misconception people have about this, and then here's what I'm able to do. And it was such a cool cool way to be able to do that and to bring people in and show them, hey, here's the transformation of what you might think in your mind when you hear this, but here's how it actually looks like. Number 4 is to motivate your audience. And this one can actually be really impactful more than you might think. I didn't do a lot of like motivational reels until more recently, and those have been some of my best performing reels recently. So if you've stuck around to this long in the video, you're in for a treat, because this is a really good idea to incorporate. And for me, when I'm thinking about motivating my audience, this is coming in a few different forms. You can either lip sync a reel, that's like a motivational lip sync. You can use a motivational reel audio and add like, clips of your life or your day or your work to motivate other people. You could also, talk directly to the camera, kind of like we mentioned earlier when it comes to giving value, but instead share like motivational content or things for them to think about. As an example, here's an example right here. You won't really be able to tell what I'm saying, but the link will be down below if you want to look at it and listen to the audio. But it's talking about this idea that the fruit of your labor isn't something you're going to see instantly, but it's going to be something you'll see down the line by putting in the work up front. And so it was so honestly crazy how much that reel blew up. It got hundreds of thousands of views. And I think because it was so motivational and it just struck a chord with so many people in my audience first. And then when it was being pushed to a cold audience, it did so well and it grew my account a lot. Something like that can be really awesome. You could literally take that same sound that I did to lip sync to that, and you could instead, put video clips to you working and what are the, behind the scenes of what you do and the work that you're putting in right now, and then talk about in the caption, the motivational aspect of why you're putting in that work so that you'll see the fruit later, right? So that can be a really great idea to incorporate into your content. And I think, along with the valuable, more practical, tangible tips, it's getting to the heart behind things a little bit more, which I think can be really impactful for, growing an audience and having them being connected to you. Idea number 5 is to break a misconception. So to me, some reels that do really well have that shock factor. And when I say shock factor, it doesn't mean it has to be anything like crazy. But what I'm saying here is that if you can break a misconception or something that someone thought was true and explain why that's actually not true, why there's something different, something else that could be true, that can actually do really, really well with reels. An example of how I've done this, I had a reel recently I created and posted where it was like me thinking back to when I thought you had to have a perfectly curated Instagram feed in order to grow. That was a misconception that I was breaking with my audience and saying, hey, you really don't have to have the most curated feed in the world. Does that mean like having a good look is good? Yes, but it doesn't mean you have to curate and spend hours doing that. Absolutely not. I don't think you have to be doing that. Another example of this is I did a reel that hit really well, did really well on my account. I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of views. And it was a reel where it was a Taylor Swift song. If you know Taylor Swift and you love her, I love her. She's amazing. She did a song, like part of the lyrics in her song, it goes, so it's gonna be forever. It's that song. So I lip synced to that part of the song. It was me at the beginning of the clip. I'll put it right here so you can see, but it's me talking and saying, I don't want to create reels. Like I just want to wait until I'm ready. And then it's me turning to the camera going, so it's gonna be forever. And that hit so well with so many people in my audience saying, yeah, you literally are calling me out right here, and me explaining why I think reels are so important right now and just video marketing in general. It was such a cool way to use some sort of trends like that to connect with my audience and to get them to see like a misconception that could be broken. And I think that's why it was so impactful, because I think it was something that something I was hearing from so many of them say, I just don't feel like I'm ready. I'll just wait. We'll see. And it's me saying, hey, like, you might not feel ready, but I encourage you to jump in and do it anyway. If you haven't already, be sure to download that 10 free Reels ideas in the description. The reason why it's different from what I talked about in this video, because it gives you specific links to audio sounds that you can use and different trends that are happening. I explain what that trend is and why you might want to use it. And then I give you a few really good examples of how different users are using that trend. So if you want that free download, go ahead and get it down below. I think you'll really love it and it'll be really helpful for you. And if you haven't, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, notification bell, all of those things. All of those things really do help to grow my channel and support me. And I seriously cannot say enough how grateful I am for each and every one of you that watches these videos. Truly, I am just so stinking thankful. So if this got your wheels turning and got you thinking of any ideas for reels, drop down below one of the ideas that you have for your reels that you want to create. I would love to hold you accountable. I would love, when we write things down and we put it out into the world that we're going to do it, we are going to be way more likely to actually get it done. So go ahead and drop that down below. I would love to see what ideas specifically you came up with for this and how you're going to apply it to your growing your Instagram account. So thank you guys again. So grateful for you. I'll see you guys in the next video on Tuesday or Thursday. Bye guys.